I spent 100 days in Elden Ring Minecraft. Before we even get into this video, I want to give a quick shout out to H&Half Squat. His link will be in the description below. He is the person that made this mod pack, and go and show him some love down below, and that's where you can check out the mod pack for yourself as well. So before we even begin, we got to set some ground rules on how this is going to work. Just like in Elden Ring, there's going to be multiple boss fights. The mutant zombie, the mutant creeper, the mutant wither skeleton, and the ender dragon. The main goal is to beat all of these bosses over the next 100 days. So let's get started. Days 1 to 3 were pretty much a normal Minecraft playthrough. I had to go through and get the essentials, the wood, and also make the crafting table for myself. But right after that, we ran into some pretty good luck because we found an empty house right off the bat. I wanted to explore the house and make sure that there was nothing in it, but it seemed pretty vacant, so I decided this would be my home for this playthrough. After exploring the house, I decided it was probably time for me to go and start getting some stone and maybe some coal to make some torches and things. What I quickly realized is in this mod pack that nothing breaks, so once you make an item, it's there forever. This was very good because it meant pretty much I never had to worry about breaking any of my tools. Once I got a weapon, it was there permanently. On days 3 to 10, I went exploring and I found a village. I got pretty lucky and the village had quite a bit of hay in it. So that in turn meant I had a pretty good food source for the rest of this playthrough. I decided to go into the blacksmith and I found me some iron boots and quite a bit of iron. After looting the village, I ended up heading back home, where I decided to use the hay to make me a lot of food, and I used the iron to make me some new iron tools. After that, I was pretty good and settled in my new home, so I figured I should just go out and start exploring. I really wanted to go and find a dungeon because there was multiple in the world, so I set off to try and find one. I ended up coming across a bear and decided to fight it.
Oh, try me, bitch.
This was a bad decision, but after that I was actually able to find a dungeon. I entered it and went down the stairs. The dungeon was filled with mobs, so I felt it was a pretty good opportunity for me to learn the battle mechanics of this mod pack. But one thing I really did feel was missing was a way to defend myself. So after looting the dungeon a little bit, I was able to make myself a shield, and this really did help out with a lot of the fights. While going through the dungeon, I found a carpeted room, and I was really confused on what was inside of it. I went in and found some books, but that really wasn't the big thing inside of this room. I ended up finding an enchantment table and some books to go with it. So, you know what that means, I can enchant stuff now. I decided to mine the bookshelf so that I could bring them home with me and set up an enchantment table at my own place. On days 15 through 19, I spent most of my time getting prepared for the first boss fight, which would end up being the mutant zombie. Also, while we were out, we were able to find some ashes of war. I was able to get the roll technique, which let me roll, and I was also able to get the sword master technique, which gave me a 30% speed bonus while using any type of sword. I also wanted to make sure that I had a full set of armor before I went to try to fight this boss, so I decided to get some more iron and make a full set of armor with that. But once I was fully looted up, it was time for me to go and take on the first boss, the mutant zombie. Now, I struggled for quite a while with this boss. For most of the fight, I ran away, shielded, and tried to get a hit in when I could. The zombie had multiple techniques. He could throw me up in the air, and it done an insane amount of damage. I got him to about half health, but that was when he decided to pick me up and slam me into the ground once again, and I took my first death on this boss. I got him to half health, so I decided to go back and try again, and my second try was much better than my first. I led him to a desert where I pretty much was able to take him down for the first time. Yeah, the first time. Because apparently, he has 4 lives, and I did not know this. I proceeded to panic and just swing at him over and over again, and somehow it ended up working. So, you know, that's pretty good, you know. Once I beat the boss, I got an item called the Hulk Hammer, and it done pretty good damage, and it also had a special ability to use earthquakes on the ground. So it actually did end up being a pretty good weapon that I could use. On days 21 to 34, I wanted to go find diamonds and also get some better loot in general. After exploring for a little while, I was able to find some diamonds down in the cave, so I decided to mine them. I found 8 in total, so this was plenty enough to at least make me a sword and a pickaxe. I ended up looking through stuff more, and I figured out that I actually had attributes that I could increase. I decided to put 1 in each and increase my constitution and strength a little bit more than the others. Continued to explore the mine and just kind of went around and mined as many ores as I could find. I eventually ended up coming across a mine shaft where I would end up finding a couple more ashes of war. One being Step, which was kind of like my dodge move, and another one called Technician. After looting the mine shaft, I decided it was a pretty good time to leave, so I went up the ladder and exited the cave. Except I had one issue. I had no clue where I was. Once leaving the cave, I kind of just explored around a little bit because I had no idea where I was, and I had to somehow find my way back to my house. I ended up finding a broken nether portal where I got some golden boots, and I figured that would probably help me later while I was in the nether. I ended up making myself a diamond pickaxe and a diamond sword just because I wanted to upgrade my tools again. But after that, I kept exploring, and I ended up coming across a castle. The castle was pretty much empty, but I found a horse and I kind of wanted to keep it, so I put a saddle on it and took it with me. I got home, I came across whatever abomination this thing is. It was a pretty strong fight. I would even call it almost a mini boss. It's like a pig and a spider combined, and I mean it wasn't too bad though. I was able to kill it pretty quickly, but like its attacks were kind of wild, so I felt like I should at least include the footage of me fighting this thing. I went back and made sure that my entire armor set was fully enchanted before I decided to take on the mutant creeper. Also, while I was at it, I decided to upgrade my sword and turn it into a tachi, which is pretty much just like a stronger diamond sword. But whenever it came to day 50, it was time to take on the mutant creeper. I didn't know how this fight was going to go at all. The mutant creeper ended up giving me much more of a problem than the zombie ever did. But having the Hulk hammer did come in handy. I was able to do some earthquakes and get some easy damage on him over time. But that did not stop me from dying over and over again to this guy. After whittling down the creeper's health, I was finally able to finish it off. Well, I thought I finished it off, because for some reason, these things just won't die without doing something. So after that, I was able to go back and get my reward, which was a crystal that made explosions. I didn't really use it much during this playthrough, but I got it, I guess. On days 51 through 56, I really got obsessed with wanting to find a dragon. I went off and I ended up finding a cool looking knight dude. He wasn't really too much of a fight. I beat him pretty quickly. After a long period of walking in a ridiculous amount of time, I was actually able to find a dragon. It wasn't really a big dragon, but it was still a pretty good fight, and I had fun beating it. After that, I decided I should head to the nether and start preparing to fight the wither skeleton. So I made a nether portal and I hopped in. Once I got to the nether, I quickly found out that I was deep in the ground somewhere that I didn't even know. I would try to dig out, run into lava pits, and burn to death. It was not a good time at all. It took me an insane amount of time to dig out of where this nether portal was. Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. But finally, I was able to get out of that hellhole and start exploring the nether. But finally, after an insane amount of time searching, I was able to find a nether fortress. And trust me when I say it really wasn't a fun time, especially because in this mod pack, there's these random bugs that will start sucking your face randomly. It was miserable, but it sucked. I ended up finding a blaze spawner, and I decided to trap them in and farm them as much as possible so that I can get some blaze powder for some eyes of ender. After farming the blazes, I decided it was probably a good time to take on the mutant wither skeleton. I actually did end up finding him, and he was in a perfect spot. I could not have asked for a better location for the wither skeleton to spawn. I'll just be honest, and I needed that luck after the miserable amount of time it took to get here. The wither skeleton was kind of stuck in a little area, so I was able to kind of cheese him out with some golden apples and just getting a couple hits in every now and then. After beating him, I got a new weapon that was a claymore, and it was a pretty good sword. I actually did end up using it for the rest of the playthrough. After beating the wither skeleton, I thought it would be a good idea for me to go and try to find some ender pearls. So I looked around the nether for a while, and I was able to find the green forest area that the endermen spawn in. So I set up and I farmed endermen for a while until I got enough ender pearls where I was happy enough to leave the nether. Now, I couldn't really find my portal, so I just ended up killing myself because in this mod pack, I didn't lose any items because in Elden Ring, you don't lose any items. So I didn't really have to worry about that. Once I got back home, I decided to make the Eyes of Ender, and I made some arrows and food as well because I know that this fight's probably going to be miserable. After that, I decided to make my way towards the stronghold. I threw my first Eye of Ender and let it lead me. After walking for a little while, I ended up coming across a crazy little village with a boss in it. I didn't end up beating this boss because he was very annoying, but I did end up being able to find the stronghold pretty close to the village area. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I got lost in the stronghold. I had no idea where I was for a not okay amount of time, but eventually I was able to find the portal. It just it took me longer than it probably should have. Alright, so we made it all this way, but I have something I should probably admit to you guys. I've never actually beat the Ender Dragon by myself. But it shouldn't be a problem because, you know, I've seen many people do it. How bad could it be, really?
Now that's a lot of damage!
Okay, so, it's a lot worse than I thought it would be. But after whatever that was, I was actually able to take down the Ender Dragon, you know, of course, right after I died to its last attack, like, you know, gotta do that. But we were able to take it down and finally beat the 100 days in Elden Ring Minecraft. This was the first challenge like this that I've ever done, and it was a pretty good time, and it's definitely the most I've ever edited and actually worked on a video. So I just want to thank everybody for, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching all the way through this video, and also please hit that subscribe button. It'd mean the world to me. And more good content to come. I don't know if I'm gonna stick doing these commentary things. I'm not very good at commentary, but I really want to make some entertaining videos for you guys. Maybe give you guys a laugh every now and then. But yeah, make sure you hit that like button, and I hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.